Hi, I'm Amy, thank you for tuning in. This is my August wrap-up video in which I'm going to talk about the 5 books that I read in August. I expected to read a few more books because we're in Florida and normally I read a lot on holiday, but I'd not accounted for the fact of how tired I was going to be, and also the fact that we'd got my lovely 5-year-old with us this time. So in the evenings we were doing different things, whereas normally I'd collapse and read a book, and it was a totally lovely experience, but just meant that I didn't get that much reading done. So this is a book I did read on the plane, The Executioner's 3 by Susan Dennard. This was so good. It was exactly what I was craving in this kind of build up to spooky season period that I was in August. In this book, Freddie lives in a small kind of atmospheric creepy town that celebrates its history once a year in around autumn in sort of a spooky festival. I'm just reading back to remind myself because I read this a couple of weeks ago. And then bodies start being found. There's a rivalry with another school. Freddie gets mixed up with one of the boys from that school. It's really like, you know, light-hearted teen fun, but also has a kind of gritty murder mystery underneath it. It also has a fun local legend of the Executioner's 3. I don't know if this is a made-up or a real legend, in inverted commas, like an existing legend. But yeah, I think that this one is great for spooky season. I think it's out now or soon, so definitely check this out. I also read this book, Bronte, Tempestra and the Lightning Steeds. I keep wanting to say Lightning Steeds like the, is it 90s band? Lightning Steeds. I bought this because Bex Hogan wrote it, who's absolutely lovely and a fantastic YA author usually. This I think was her middle grade debut, sort of younger middle grade, like 7+. So I bought it thinking that maybe, you know, I'd read it to my son, and I will in maybe a year or so, but I had so much fun reading it. It's just, you know, there's kids' books that are really joyful and fun and light, and they kind of remind you what it feels like to be a kid. This is that. Bronte goes to a school for nights, so excited that girls can join, but finds that she is the only girl. So she's navigating that, she's navigating a mystery that's going on at school, and it's really perfect for that age group. I'd recommend reading it if you think it's fun, sounds fun as an adult, but if there's a little person in your life that you think would enjoy this, definitely pick it up. The next book I read was The Narrows by Ronald Malfi. Because I enjoyed Senseless so much, I thought I'd pick up another one from the library, but I've handed it in, so I can't show it to you. This book has a very Salem's Lot vibe to me. It is about a town that is slowly taken over by something. I'm choosing my words really carefully so as not to spoil it, because this is a really slow burn book. You are slowly seeing things happen to different characters around the town and gradually unravelling with the main characters what is going on. That's as much as I can say about the plot, I think, without ruining it, but I enjoyed that. Normally the slow burn I find a little too slow, but it did kind of, with the suspense and the dread that was going on, it did keep my attention really, really well. Next, I read Do You Ship It by Beth Reekles. I started reading this a little while ago when I was interviewing Beth, and foolishly was reading it on my phone, and then, long story short, changed phones, kind of lost where I was in the book, so I realised that I didn't actually end up finishing it even though I was really enjoying it. Picked it up again this month, and it's so fun, and particularly in the last half of the book that I'd not read. I don't even know how to explain this without giving too much away, but basically a girl is into a boy and decides that she's going to get into the fandom that he's really into, a fictional TV show. But as it goes on, she kind of ends up becoming part of the fandom and really enjoying it, and there's a lovely romance and there's so much tension. And I think something that Beth does incredibly well is capture these teenagers like they're real people. And I remember that kind of heightened sense of emotion that you're feeling at that time. She just captures it so well. It's really brilliantly done. So of course I then picked up another Beth Reekles book, The Layover, which is one of her adult ones, which I'll talk about when I actually get to finish it, but it's really good so far. And then I read We Fell Apart by Lockhart, which is set just after the events of We Were Liars, but focusing on different characters. This book was interesting because I started it thinking, okay, fast-paced thriller, go. And actually it wasn't that at all. It felt like a real kind of gritty, meaty contemporary drama about a girl who goes to visit her estranged father. He's invited her to come stay at his kind of crumbling castle estate, I guess it is a little bit. But she gets there and he's not there. He's a famous artist. She wants to connect with him, kind of learn about her own interest in art more through his interest, but she doesn't get to meet him when she arrives. So she meets this cast of interesting characters and slowly starts to unravel the story of her father. I'm not going to say any more because, like the other books I've read this month, I think the joy in this book is the kind of discovery. So although it wasn't the kind of fast-paced thriller I expected, I was just so gripped by this story of a family that felt very real to me, and the kind of the pain and the heartache and the joy that can come of family. It seemed so authentic, well done, absolutely beautifully written and described, so that when it kind of had moments of being more of a thriller, you really got to know those characters and you really cared, or I really cared about them. So yeah, I thought it was really good. It's one of those times when it wasn't the book that I expected, but it was a book that I really, really enjoyed. So definitely recommend reading it. I think you could probably read it having not read the other books. There's Family of Liars, which I haven't read, and I've read We Were Liars. I think Family of Liars might be more of a prequel. So I would probably at least read We Were Liars just because it seems to pair nicely with that book. I think you'd get more out of it if you had read that, but you could probably read it on its own and still mostly know what's going on. So that's it, the 5 books that I read in August. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of those or if you're excited to read any of them. As always, likes and subscribes are appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Tempestra.